Hi, I'm Debbie Cronister. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And I'm here today because I want to show you these adorable cards that I made. They're called a Tuxedo card. And they stand up. You guys can probably see these really good because they do stand up like that. And they're so fun to make. One of my team members made one for one of my other team members for her birthday. And so they challenged me to figure it out because it was in metric. And so I watched several videos and this was what I came up with in the end. So I'm going to show you how I made them. You will find all the measurements on my blog post at stampwithdeb.com. And so let's get started. I have made a chart that is also on my blog, and this is what it looks like. And you'll be able to see this and go from there. You probably can't see it very well here because my writing is very small, but it's for me. On my blog, you'll be able to see it. Okay, so let's get started. I am going to use a piece of Evening Evergreen, and I'm going to take you right from the beginning all the way through. I'm going to cut it at 7 inches by 10 3/4. Just like that. So hang on to this piece that you cut off. We'll use that again. And put that right over there. Okay, now this is the tricky part. I'm going to try doing it on my trimmer, even though to me it's easier to do on my scoreboard, but I do have it sitting over here in case I need it. So the first thing I'm going to do is score it at 2.5. Make sure I'm scoring and not cutting, and I'm going to score all the way down at 2.5. And then I'm going to move it over to 5 inches. Score it again. And I'm going to move it to 7.5. I almost made a mistake there. 7.5. And then 10 inches. One more little bit. Okay. Now, I am going to take my paper here and I'm going to turn it so that I'm cutting it at 2.5 inches, and I'm going to cut to this second score line. So I'm going to cut from this top down to that second score line on this end. Now this is the end that has the little half of the little, what is it, 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to cut to that second score line right there. And then I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to move down here and I'm going to cut to the first score line. So I want to cut to that 2.5 inch line, which I really can't see right now. Okay, there we go. I probably should have done this on a lighter color. Okay, or if I would fold these, it would show better. All right, now I am going to, because I know how my pattern is laid out, I'm going to do this a little different than I would do it if I was doing it on my own. I'm going to take a ruler and I am going to go from my center fold here, which is right here. I'm just going to mark it. My center fold. And then I have this little spot right here that I'm going to mark, and this spot right here. And that's where that line, that cut line intersected. Okay, that's how I'm going to determine where I'm going to come out down here. So I'm going to score so that I'm coming over this in the center and I'm coming from here. So that's what's important, is coming from here down to that, across that in the center, okay? And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to go from my center line here over my little dot here that I made, okay? And then down, all the way down. So on one side it'll look like it's lopsided because you have this extra over here, but it's perfect. Okay, now let's take a pair of paper snips and let's cut the rest of this off right here. So I'm going to cut down to that mark that I made, that intersection there with the score line and the cut line. And the same thing on this side. A little bit more. I have a dog who wants in, so we're just going to ignore him. Okay, and then I'm going to trim up this way, up that score line, and cut down here. I'm going to cut this part off. Okay, now you can see that's the basics. That's my my layout for my card. So, oh, wait a minute. I didn't cut these. I am going to cut these off too. Yes, because this is the top of the card. There, and this is where that score line is. This is where I'm cutting that we made. Okay, there we go. Now that's what it's supposed to look like. Okay, so move this stuff out of the way. And so this is going to fold back in the center. Let me get my bone folder. I'll burnish these. And then this one is going to fold to the front. This one's going to fold down, and it should fold perfectly, and it's not. And this one, oops, is going to fold, whoops, which way are we going here? Okay, let's fold this one over first. And then this one's going to fold down. And this was my hesitation with this card. If you don't get this exactly right, see what's happened here? This is off just a little bit. And so when I go to cut my triangles, they will be off. So these have to come all the way to that edge when you fold them. Let's see if I can straighten that out. Pull it over there, and oops, when I go to press down, it moves, of course. Okay. Okay, that's better. All right, now for the designer series paper that I'm using, it's going to be the Heart and Home. And there's a trick to this too. So these are cut at 2 3/8. The first one, we'll cut at 2 3/8. And I wonder if I can get 2 of them out of this. Nope, okay. And this was a scrap, so. And 2 3/8, so I need 2 of them. I'm going to put them face to face, going the same direction. Okay, so I want them to go the same direction. Put them face to face. And then, so because there is a pattern on this, I need them to be cut together. So if you don't have a pattern, you have one piece cut at 2 3/8 by 2 3/8, and you will have what you need. So, because now that one is going that way, and see what happens? This one's going a different way. They're both going that direction. So now I have 4 pieces going different ways, and I can decide which ones I want to use. This one is the other one I want. So I need 1 from each of them in order to have it going the right direction. Okay, now for the inside of my box, I'm going to use, and for the inside of the box, and we're going to cut it at 2 3/8. And it's 6 inches, so I need 2 of those. So 2 3/8. And then I'm going to put these face to face. And what I'm going to do, the easiest way to do this, is to take one of these, which I cut off, and place it right in there. And just put it on there and trim it. Whoa. Give me a second here. Okay, just like that. Now, let's see. We're going to add this inside here. So those are cut to fit in there. Now, like so. Okay, and then we're gonna do the bottom section here, just to complement it. So this is 6 inches long, but I'm gonna cut it at 2 3/8 by 4 1/4. So let's start with the 4 1/4. That'll leave us a nice little strip that we can use for something else. And then 2 3/8. So 2 3/8 is just 1/8 of an inch less than everything else that we measured. So if you want a larger, a bigger margin in there, then you would cut it at 4. And then this one, again, I'm going to, this time I'm gonna mark it and then cut it over. And they're face to face so that they will be, they'll be right, they'll match. So, and I want to go right from this corner down. Okay, so let's try putting it together and see what we've got. I think I'm going to have to trim these a little bit. I didn't quite get to the corner on those. Oops, did I drop? No. And let's see how these are going to work. So that's going to give me just a tiny bit of an edge, which is what I wanted. And that goes there, and that one goes there. So let's go ahead and put those on. And I'm going to use green glue just because it allows me a little bit of movement, and because I'm working with such a tiny edge, I need all the opportunity for movement I can get, because there is no edge on that now. That is, and that's probably what happened. I'm going to trim it. Where's my good scissors? Let's just trim off a little bit here. This is why I was really hesitant about doing this for a class, because I was afraid that if you don't cut these exact, then you don't have the right it doesn't work. So yeah, it's like this one is just way big. So let's trim off just a little bit. And that needs to come off just a little bit more. I think it needs a little bit off of this edge. And that's because my paper did not fold absolutely perfect. So, okay. That's going to be as close as it gets. So, let me just attach that to there. Okay, now let's see how these are going to fit. This one, see, it's not quite at the point. And it really needs to be. So that one is going to go right there, and that one looks good. So let's attach it. And then this one, I'm just going to trim that a little bit there, because like I said, I'm not quite at the point. And you know, just that tiny bit makes a difference with this card. And that one will work good though. Okay. So you see I didn't go all the way to the bottom on this. It doesn't need to. You're not going to see what's down here. It's hidden away. Okay. All right. So there is the basics of our card. So let's put these in here, on here. And this is my, it's going to fold over so we don't have to worry about that one. I almost wish I had put a little bit of white around that trim. And see, this one's not quite right either. It's just, but it's okay. It's because it's not going to show. It's up in there to the inside. So now you remember those pieces that I told you to keep over here? So let's go ahead and trim those. So you're going to do 1 inch on each of those, or cut it at 1 inch. And I just cut it at, okay, 1 inch. And so I'm going to cut one at 5 1/4 and one at 4 1/4. Okay. And if I have 2 pieces there? No, I can't. It wouldn't work. Okay. It's going to drive me crazy. You guys know that. Okay, so this is at 1/2 inch. I'm going to score on each end on those 2 strips. Oops, wrong one. Let's get that out of there before I grab it again. And 1/2 inch right there. Okay, so this part is much easier to do when you have the card open. Once you put it together, it's harder, much harder to do. Okay, so I'm going to attach these. I'm going to use our Stampin' Seal and just put some adhesive, maybe I am, on the end of this. And put this right in here, centering it, and I want it to go just below the closure. Just above the closure, I'm sorry. Just above it. I'm not worried about it showing a little bit. And then this one is going to go lower than that. That looks so small to me. Doesn't look like it's 4 1/4. This one is going to go just below that. Okay. So when I close these, it's a little bit small, but I think that's because I think I didn't get the scoring right on the top, on my card base. So that's why it is so important that you score that just perfectly. See, it's a little small. In height. So this should have been down a little bit lower, which would have brought it back over further, so it would have been right along the edge of here. So you guys can learn from my mistakes. Look at that. I told you I'd find it as soon as I cut one. I can't believe it. It was underneath there. It was underneath something. I'm not sure what it was underneath. But I knew I'd find it as soon as I cut it. Okay. So I am using the Honeybee Home, the dies from that, which are the, what are they called, Honeybee dies? Let's see. They are the Honeybee Blooms dies. That's what I'm using. I'm using those. The grass from here, and I did cut a couple of these just for the front. And then I'm also using the Butterfly Brilliance bundle, the dies that go with that. So let's put this together now. So we want to do this while we have it open. And one of the other things I'm using is a window sheet. The wonderful thing about window sheets is you can't see them, because I think that I'm going to need the window sheets for my butterflies. So I'm just going to cut a couple of 1/2-inch pieces. Here's one. And our window sheet is great because it's nice and firm. It will hold the weight. And then I'll decide where they're going to go. And I don't need them that long, so I'm going to cut this one in half, and then that way I can use it, the other half, for my next one. And I think this little guy is going to go in the front. So what I want to do is just kind of lay it out first, and then I'll decide for sure. Okay, and I'm just going to tip this little guy in a different direction. So, and this is a big one, so I'm going to use the bigger piece here, just to be sure that he stays upright. All right. Oh, yeah, he's going to go that direction. I have a lot of butterflies in here. A whole lot. I'm just going to kind of go like that. And then I have some grass here that I cut. And I think I'll just put my grass right in the front, just to kind of cover up my my plastic, so you don't see the plastic there, the window sheets. So I'm just going to attach that in the front first. And just to kind of help hide that. Not that it'll totally hide it, but it'll help. Okay, now I'm going to attach my butterflies here. And I'm going to start with my largest one in the back. And I'm going to use a couple of glue dots and stick him to, actually I'm just going to use one glue dot. My glue dots are really powerful. And I want to make sure that he just gets stuck to, whoops, the front one, to the small one. So I might need to trim that because it looks like it's going to be way too long. So I am going to trim it off. Let's put that glue dot on there again. And I'm just going to put him over this way. Now when I close this, what's going to happen to him is he's going to look like he is flying. Okay, and then I'm going to do my next one. I'm going to trim that off a little bit, just so these are not too long, because I don't want them to stick to the front one. I want them to stick to the back one. So this little guy is going to go in front of him and stick on that. Whoops, he is not. He's coming out the other end. So he is too long, way too long. All right, let's try that again. So I want it behind this, and I want to make sure that it's sticking to this one back here. Okay, now let's try the next one. So these are going to be even shorter, because these are going to be in the front. And that one is way crooked. Straighten him out. So I'm going to go even shorter. And these are going to go to the front one anyway, so they can be a little bit longer actually. And I know I drift off in my voice. I'm sorry, guys. So this has to go down further. And I might need to trim that off down there, because I don't want it to show off out the bottom. And this one is going to go in here, just like that. And I think he'll be okay. So what I'm doing, I'm attaching these to the front one, to that 5-inch one. And look at that, I have a ton of butterflies fluttering out of there. I think this one could have moved up a little bit. Whoops, let's keep him in place there, but move him up here. Okay, there we go. I think that's pretty. It's a card full of butterflies. All right, so I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal here and seal my card. So these come around and match right there. And then I need a greeting for the front, don't I? So let's grab, let's make this. We need some gems on there, some rhinestones. Okay, my favorite happy birthday is in Flowering Flowers. I just love this one. I think it's so pretty. So let's use that. And evergreen. And I have a little tag that was cut out when I cut out a previous project. And that works. This came from Picture This Dies. So, and I think we can put that right there. And let me grab some ribbon. Let's just tie a bow. Just give that a trim. Nice long tails. No, tails are too long. On this one, the tails need to be shorter so that it can go up in here. Okay, so for attaching this, I want it to be able to be flexible so that when you open the card, it will pop out and not get stuck on one side or the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glue dots here and take your pick tool, and I am going to roll these over so that it's just a little dot in the middle that I'm doing, just like that. And then I can attach my happy birthday right in there, hopefully centering it. And then I'm just going to put my bow on with a glue dot also. My glue dots have come untied, and so they're everywhere right now. Okay, and there we are. What a pretty little card. Now you will have to make an envelope for this because it measures 7 inches by 5 inches. So it is a larger card. And so you will have to make an envelope for it. So I thank you for joining me today. I hope you make lots of these and enjoy making them. But like I said, make sure that you follow these instructions and you score really carefully, because these are the flaps that are so important that will, if they're not right, they will throw your whole card off. Thanks for joining me. You can find my products at stampwithdeb.com. And if you need any assistance, please get in touch with me. Thank you. Bye-bye.